Have you ever wondered if there is a travel hack for finding cheap or low-cost business class seats on a long-haul flight? After all, not only do you get upscale beverages, gourmet food, extra comfy pillows and blankets, and entry into the lounge at the airport, but most importantly, you get lay-flat seats on those long overnight flights.
Well, today we're going to tell you how we snag these seats on occasion without using points. Now, it isn't an official hack, but it's a strategy that we use. And let us tell you, it is worth the effort.
We're John and Bev, and we are the Retirement Travelers.
If you're just joining us, we are full-time travelers who are on the adventure of our lives, traveling around the world. This video is part of a big series we're doing called Travel School. We wanted to put together a free course where we could teach and share our experience of world travel. Our passion is sharing our knowledge, and we wanted to do it for free. We anticipate having 20 or 30 lessons, and over the next few months, we'll be posting them all on our website, so you can go there and binge watch. It's at retirementtravelers.com.
And if you're wondering where we are as we travel the world, we update our location on Instagram, so follow us there. We're currently in India. Now, we're doing a lot of daily stories so you can see what we're up to in real time.
Today, we wanted to share a short video and let you know our method for finding bargain business flight tickets. We thought you might like to hear why we do it and how we do it.
A few years ago, before I retired, I was traveling on a domestic flight. Now, the company that I worked for allowed for business class seats on overseas flights, but not on domestic. On this occasion, I had been in Washington State and took the red-eye home. Because it was domestic, I was in economy. Now, in order to sleep, I rested my knees up against the back of the seat. Well, to make a long story short, I developed a blood clot in my leg. I didn't realize it till it broke away and exploded in my lungs about a week later. After a trip to the ER, I learned that I had multiple pulmonary embolisms. The ER doctor told me that I was really lucky to be alive. I've since learned that I have a blood clotting disorder that makes me 5 times more susceptible to blood clots.
Obviously, this is a big concern for us when we fly. John is on a blood thinner, but we wanted to be proactive and not book uncomfortable seats for him when we fly longer than 6 or 7 hours. Sitting up all night is a worry for us.
So there's that. Now, a few years ago when we started traveling full-time, we were in Costa Rica. We had problems with our itinerary and we were looking for a place to spend a couple of weeks. We knew the World Expo was taking place in Dubai and it was going to be ending soon. We started looking for a flight. Well, since it was a very, very long way, I suggested that why not look for business class tickets, see how much they cost.
Well, I did a quick search and realized that if we flew back to Panama City, Panama, we could take a KLM flight round trip to Dubai for $2,500 each. Now, when John had traveled to Dubai on business from the US, we knew tickets were about $10,000 to $15,000. So we were shocked at the price. Obviously, we booked them.
That's right. Now, when we reached Panama City, we flew to Amsterdam overnight and had a long layover. We then took another layover in Paris before flying again overnight to Dubai. 2 overnight flights, laying down flat with beautiful lounges and great food. It started our trip off right. It was Bev's first time in business class, and guess what? She loved it.
I did. It was addictive, very addictive. So we started researching to see where we could find a cheap business class ticket. We soon discovered that the carriers that offer great tickets are few and far between when flying from the US. But I was determined, so determined that we pretty much build our 2 trips a year around business class ticket bargains.
There are several things we do to find them, but the first is figuring out which carriers have the good deals. Now, the main traditional U.S. carriers are the hardest to nab because, let's face it, the business traveler in the U.S. books these tickets out of need, not necessarily looking for a great deal. There are a lot of these guys and gals out there, and there's certainly a markup on their seats.
So what to do? First, like we said earlier, we plan our trip 6 months to 1 year in advance. After we decide what region we want to travel to, we start looking for tickets. Now, we usually book these when they first become available, so that's our first strategy. Book as early as possible. Now, we don't really care at this point where in the region we start because we plan to build a trip around it. So whether we start in Manila or Bangkok, that's not our concern at this point. We have found that the best prices occur on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and sometimes Saturdays.
Our second strategy is don't limit yourself to the closest airport. Last year, when we were searching for our tickets to India, we saw a great bargain again on KLM from Miami. It was almost as cheap as the Panama City tickets, but for some reason we weren't ready to book, and when we went back to get them, the sale had ended. Thankfully, we still found a bargain out of Dulles in Washington, D.C.
The other part of this strategy is to consider airports outside the U.S. Most people never think to look in Central America or Colombia. When we flew to Auckland, New Zealand last year, we looked at tickets from Orlando. The tickets were $10,000 to $12,000 for business class, and these were some of the cheapest ones we could find. So with my new addiction to business class, I started searching high and low. I went back to Panama City and with no luck decided to search in Colombia. We love Colombia and know it's a short flight from the US. Well, bingo, I found a ticket.
We ended up taking a cheap flight to Bogota, and we had a lovely layover for a few days, and then we boarded a LATAM Airlines, which stopped in Santiago, Chile, before flying on to Auckland. Our point is, flying to Colombia was relatively inexpensive, and we were able to visit a city we had never seen, sleep on our long flight to Auckland, and arrive ready to go. If we would have tried to book the whole business class from Orlando to Auckland going through Bogota, there would have been very little savings. But starting the business class ticket in Bogota offered us a huge bargain. We think this is a hidden route to Australia and New Zealand.
So the question became for us, what airlines and what airports are conducive to bargains like these? Now, we've learned that flying to Dublin is a good European destination that offers bargain tickets. We were able to nab one of these on WestJet out of Calgary last year.
The other airline that we found was Saudia Air. Now, last year when we were planning for Asia, we happened upon a route back home, Manila to Washington, D.C. This ticket was only about $1,600. We flew from Manila to Jeddah, Saudi Arabia overnight with a long layover in one of the best lounges we had ever seen before another 13-hour flight to D.C.
Saudia Air is a great carrier. Sometimes when you book with them, they offer a hotel deal so you can have a layover in Jeddah before boarding the next day. You can visit the city as a bonus. Sometimes you get a few days here, so if Saudi Arabia is on your list, it's a good way to get a peek into Jeddah.
So, from our experience, these are some of the routes that worked for us. KLM from Panama to Amsterdam or Dubai, WestJet from Calgary, Canada to Dublin, Ireland, Saudia Air from DC to Manila or Bangkok, and LATAM Airlines from Bogota, Colombia to Auckland, New Zealand or Sydney, Australia.
We're sure that there are other opportunities. We're hearing that Qatar Airlines is looking to be competitive between Europe and Asia, but we haven't booked with them yet. If you know of a bargain route like these, leave a comment below. We'd love to check it out, and I'm sure others would too.
One of our biggest tips when planning a trip is to think outside the box. Now, look at other cities and build your itinerary from there. Now, we'll give you an example. Say you want to visit Singapore. Every airline seems to mark these flights up because Singapore is a banking and business hub in Asia, and everything is pretty expensive there. You could fly to Bangkok instead on Saudia Air and just take a short, cheap flight down to Singapore, and you will save thousands on a business class ticket. You might even find one in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. If you look there, it's just a hop, skip, and a jump, from there to Singapore or from Bangkok.
As retirees, we have all the time in the world to add in a layover. Remember, a business class ticket gets you into a lounge, sometimes a premium lounge. So kick back, read a book, eat the food. Sometimes we take showers. They will supply you with everything you need. Towels, shampoos, slippers, robes, everything. It is really nice.
Yes. Now we have one disclaimer, and that is finding business class tickets is a long, tedious process, so don't get frustrated. For us, it's a game or a puzzle, okay? So we like to keep at it until we figure it out. Smaller airports are usually not, the place to find these kind of bargains. When I worked, our home was always located near one of these small airports, and we never found bargains. So you have to be willing to take a short flight to a big hub or explore, like we said earlier, explore outside the U.S.
We are often asked what search engine we use for flights. Now, we usually start with Google search, but this is just to identify carriers. We never book there or on any other third-party site because airlines usually offer a better deal in our experience. Now, we want to book with the airline if we are given an opportunity. Now, if there is a great deal that we can't pass up on a third-party booking site, we might book there. But for the most part, we really like booking with an airline because if there's a flight disruption or there is a problem, we know who to contact. In the past, we've tried to book through our credit card, and we made some mistakes early on, and trying to straighten these out was a hassle. So we don't always recommend doing that. If you can book with the airline, we say you should start there.
Recently, several people have reached out to us and suggested we use a fee-for-service booking site like FairDrop. Now, we've not done this yet, but we're open to it in the future. We are always looking for bargains. So, let us know in the comments if you've tried that or any other site and had good success with it.
Another thought is that we recently did a video on repositioning cruises. Now, last year we bought the business class one-way flight to Dublin, but then we used a repositioning cruise to get us back home. So think about using these when building a trip too.
Now, there's another hack that we've learned about that we haven't tried using airline points on Chase and American Express. Now, what people do is they book a flex ticket on an airline that allows them to upgrade to business class with points that they've transferred from their credit card to the airline. Now, this upgrade is cheaper than paying the full price, so check it out. For us, we feel that we get a much greater value by using our points for the Hyatt hack we explained in this video, so check it out.
So that's our method. Think outside the box, search for flights from Central or South America or even Canada. Be flexible with destination cities and build an itinerary starting with these bargains.
Stay tuned for our next video, how we plan our trips. And if you missed the first two videos, go back to our website and watch there.
We'll see you next week.
Be sure to hit subscribe and follow along on our retirement journey around the world.